This is the first evening of our season of studying one of the core sutras that were recommended by Thai for his monastics and his community to study. And this year we're studying the Anapanasati Sutra and using a text called The Path of Emancipation. So welcome, everyone, and you may wish to switch to gallery view if you're not there already. That's where I'm going, so I can see all of your beautiful faces. So, breathing together with all of you, it's so beautiful to be here tonight. And I'd like to invite everyone now to prepare your body for a period of sitting meditation. So what we want to do is bring our minds back to our bodies and become aware of the whole body from the top of your head down to your feet. Allow your chest to lift gently. And lift your head and tuck your chin a little bit. Feel a slight stretching along the back of your neck, an opening of those vertebrae. Allow your sit bones to sink into the chair or the cushion and let your weight release into the earth. If you're sitting on a chair, feel the contact of your feet with the earth. And just feel the tensions leaving your body with every exhale. Let your shoulders drop. Relax your arms, your hands, and your fingers. Relax your neck. Open your chest and soften your heart and the area around your heart. Feel your rib cage gently expanding and contracting with each breath. Relax your belly. Ease your lower back. Loosen your hips. Allow your pelvic area to soften and relax. Relax your legs and your feet. And relax your face, your forehead and your eyes. All of those tiny muscles around your eyes. Relax your cheeks, your sinuses, your lips and tongue, and your jaw. And you can allow a gentle half smile to form on your lips. Now let yourself become aware of your belly breathing. Breathing in, the belly rises gently. And breathing out, it falls softly. Rising gently. Falling softly. So just allow yourself to continue to settle into the sensations of your breathing and just enjoy your breathing as we listen to 3 sounds of the bell. Breathing in, I'm aware that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I'm aware that I am breathing out. In, out. Breathing in, I'm aware of the quality of my breath, whether it's fast or slow, relaxed or carrying tension. Breathing out, I soften my breathing. In, aware of the quality of my breath. Out, softening. Breathing in, I allow my mind to rest on my in-breath. Breathing out, I allow my mind to rest on my out-breath. Resting on in-breath, resting on out-breath. Breathing in, I know that I am home. Breathing out, I feel safe. In, I am home. Out, feeling safe. Breathing in, I feel my breath grow deeper. Breathing out, I feel my breath become slower. In, deep, out, slow. Breathing in, I take refuge in my in-breath. Breathing out, I rest in my out-breath. In, taking refuge. Out, resting. So tonight we have the opportunity to enjoy the reflections of two friends in the practice. And I'll tell you a little bit about each of them. So Dennis Candy will be our first speaker, and he has practiced in the Plum Village tradition for more than 25 years. Sorry, I've got to make this a little bigger. So in April of the year 2000, while living in Pittsburgh and as a member of the Laughing River Sangha, he received the 5 mindfulness trainings from Brother Chanwi with the lineage name Joyful Living of the Source. In 2005, he was ordained at Estes Park, Colorado by Thai into the Order of Interbeing with the Dharma name True Mountain of Loving Kindness. Born in Ireland, Dennis has returned often over the years, helping to establish Thai's first retreat there and also mentoring several OI members in Ireland. Dennis now practices with the River Valley Sangha in Northampton, Massachusetts. In March of 2025, Dennis received the lamp transmission to become one of Thai's Dharma teachers in the Plum Village tradition. Our second speaker is a dear and beautiful friend, Susan Poulos, who began practicing in 2017 at a retreat with Thai and the Multifold Sangha, where she received the 5 mindfulness trainings and the lineage name, Radiant Light of the Heart. She has practiced with Deep River Sangha in Greensboro, North Carolina, ever since. In 2011, she was ordained by Thai into the Order of Interbeing at Magnolia Grove Monastery with the Dharma name, True Fragrant Magnolia. She enjoys supporting a number of sanghas by facilitating, organizing retreats and days of practice, bringing mindfulness into diverse local settings, and mentoring OI aspirants. She cherishes being an English tutor for monastics by Zoom, and cherishes and is grateful for the love and support of her blood, spiritual, ancestral, and land families. In March of 2025, Susan also received the lamp transmission to become one of Thai's Dharma teachers in the Plum Village tradition.
Good evening, dear friends. This is Dennis, bowing in from Northampton, Massachusetts. And I'm so happy to be here and so happy to see so many of us gathering for our first exploration together of the Anapanasati Sutra, the sutra on the 16 exercises of mindful breathing. So thank you for being here, and savor as you look around the Zoom space, savor that we're 80 Sangha members from all over North America, including Mexico and Canada. Canada is a separate country, by the way, in case you didn't know. You might have got confused by recent news, but and so it's really wonderful that we're here, and we're facilitated in being here in part from those who came before us. Our wonderful Dharma teacher, senior Dharma teacher in Thai's tradition, Chan Wee, Brother True Radiance, started some years back what he called e-talks, and this was pre-Zoom and when the technology wasn't quite so good, but we would still gather and have talks about different aspects of sutras and the Buddha's teaching, and we did what we could to align that practice and that study with the 4-year course of study that monastics undergo at Plum Village. So we're gathering on the strength of those who have come before us. And so it falls to me just to set a little bit of context for our practice together over the coming 9 months. And of course, we hope you can make it to every single gathering every month. And if you can't come a month here or a week there, that's okay. Just come back when you can. If you get a chance to do the readings, that can be very helpful. But it's not like school. You can just bring yourself without having had a chance to do the readings. if you have a chance to practice some of the prompts that we will offer from month to month, becoming aware of our body, breathing in and out before we go to sleep, for example, then so much the better. But if you forget, come back anyway. And I would say what's the reason for coming back? What's the reason for being here in the first place? And I would say there are a twofold reason. One is to enjoy being here together, to enjoy the practice, to enjoy practicing and feel supported, but to enjoy. And second, as a result of that practice and enjoyment, to feel maybe a little more free, perhaps a little more free of craving, a little more free of worry, a little more free of fear, and so on. A little more having tasted the freedom that our teacher reminds us is available to us all the time, and even in the midst of our suffering. So we're in this together. And I'd like to start by just offering, inviting us to offer a bow. And to think about not so much a complication of 16 exercises. Oh, you know those games where you have to make it to a certain level, and if you miss one level, you have to go back to the start. It's not like that. You don't. Although I sometimes have approached this sutra like that. I'm on exercise number 5, experiencing joy, but my mind wanders. Like, okay, go back to number 1, and I feel like, well, I'll never get to number 14 at this rate. It's not like that. It can be the entire sutra in some ways can be summed up with our bow. So as we bow in this tradition, we let one hand represent mind, one hand represent body. We bring them together mindfully. Let's do that together. And we notice, we're invited to notice, I've made a flower. I've made a flower with my 2 palms to remind me that I'm, as our teacher offers, I'm a flower in the garden of humanity, he says. We are all flowers in the garden of humanity. And so then, and perhaps, Gilles, you could invite a bell, we offer a bow to each other flowers in the garden of humanity. So we honor each other by being here. And in some ways we could say that's really just what we're about, bringing mind and body together. In the instruction, in the guidance on the sutra, Thai tells us about nama rupa, nama, body, rupa, mind. And so we can always come back to this idea of bringing our palms together, bringing body, doing our best to bring body and mind back together through our breathing. So apart from being here to enjoy practice and to increase to some degree our feelings of freedom from craving, freedom from fear, and so on, we might also carry an intention, I know I do, of making a positive difference in the world. Now, we want to be helpful. But as our teacher says, how can you love someone if you're not really there? So in order to be helpful, it's really important that we come to a more full sense of our own presence in the moment. And if we ask ourselves, well, what's the place that we can exert a positive influence in the world? We could ask ourselves, well, where did Thai operate from? And so, superficially, we might say, well, Plum Village in France, or Vietnam, the Root Temple. But he asks us to think about what our address is. And he said, your address is the intersection of here and now. So the place, the first place, not the only place, but the first place we want to make a difference is at the intersection of here and now. And this is where the 16 exercises can be so helpful to us, because they bring us back to our true home through our breath. No matter what's going on, how much I forget and I'm caught up in this, that and the other, I still have the capacity to remember to stop and just to breathe. And so just to prove that we don't have to necessarily address each of the 16 exercises sequentially in order to succeed, with Gilles' help, I'd like to just touch on several. So for example, number 3 and number 4, experiencing body, calming body. So let's try that. Breathing in, as Deborah led us earlier, breathing in, I'm aware of my body. Breathing out, I calm my body. So the first 4 exercises help us to get in touch more fully with the body, with ourselves as sovereign, embodied beings. And the second 4 have to do with the feelings. So for example, number 5 and 6, breathing in, I experience joy. Breathing out, I feel bliss. Joy. Bliss. So we can draw on different parts of the 16 exercises, even in the midst of our own holding awareness of our own pain and suffering and the pain and suffering of the world. We don't avert our eyes from the pain of the world, but we come back to ourselves in order to be more fully alive and in a better position to be helpful within our households, within our communities, within the world at large. If we just remember, for example, the 7th of the 14 mindfulness trainings, or the 2nd of the 5 mindfulness trainings, they're reminding us that all of the conditions for our happiness are available in the present moment. And so any one of these series of 16 exercises, which go from 4 body, 4 mind, rather the second 4 are feelings, the third 4 mind, awareness of mind, and the final 4 objects of mind. But we don't have to remember all that, just to remember to come back, to bring body and mind together by breathing in, breathing out, and doing our best to touch joy, even in the midst of the suffering of life, to understand that the joy and the suffering are interdependent, they're not separate, and that the conditions for our happiness are available to us if we do our best to be aware of them, to look for them, to find them from moment to moment. Dennis bowing out. Much gratitude to all of you for being here.
Dear respected Thai, dear teachers, dear beloved flowers, thank you so much, Dennis and Deborah, for your beautiful and precious sharings this evening. And thank each of you. I see friends from near and far, from recent and long ago. It's so wonderful to be here tonight. Thank you. And so thank you so much for being here. And if you're going to be watching this on a future recording, welcome as well. So, as you know, tonight our topic is dwelling in the here and now. And, it sounds so simple. And my experience is that it's not always that easy. And that's why we call it a practice. And we practice over and over, just like a musician or an artist or an athlete, so that we can become more skillful and create this muscle memory, the neural plasticity, and we can grow and improve not only for ourselves, but for all beings. And so we're practicing this month with the first 2 of the 16 exercises in mindful breathing. And I'm so happy that we don't have to play the game of getting to 3 and failing and coming back. So thank you, Dennis, for that reminder. I hope you had a chance to read or will have a chance to read from the book, The Path of Emancipation, because Thai gives such beautiful guidance and encouragement. But before I speak about the Anapanasati Sutra, I want to go back for a minute to share briefly about the Kalama Sutra, because it's important to me and maybe to you too. And this sutra recounts how a group of young people came to ask the Buddha a question while he was visiting this town called Kalama. And these students came and said to the Buddha, every teacher, every religious teacher who passes through our village says their teachings are the best and the most correct. Who should we believe? And the Buddha replied, friends, you don't have to believe anything, even if it's recorded in the sutras or taught by a famous teacher. Whatever you hear, you should use your intelligent and critical mind to examine it carefully and then put it into practice for yourself. And if you apply it and you see that you are liberated from your suffering and your difficulties, then you will see clearly that it is indeed truth and that you can believe it. And so this is really the basis of our practice, that the Buddha didn't ask us to believe anything. He asks us to trust our intelligence and our own experience. And he offered so many practices for us to transform and heal our unwholesome states of mind. So we can try them out and see if they work for us and continue using them if they do. And if they don't, we don't have to keep trying. We can discontinue. So it's up to us to really apply the practices. So back to the Anapanasati Sutra. The Buddha proposed that in these first 2 exercises, it's just the in-breath, just the out-breath, nothing else. And Thai said, anyone can do these exercises. They're not complicated. And the effect of the exercises is enormous. And so Breathing in, the first exercise, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. And the breathing is the door through which we go home to ourselves. And we don't have to suppress our thinking. We just enjoy coming back to our breathing. And when we notice that the mind is thinking, we gently invite it to come back and pay attention to our breathing. We are aware of the in-breath and the out-breath. As we breathe in, we only pay attention to the in-breath. It's the only object of our mind. And so when we're truly focused, we can let go of, we can release the past and the future, our projects, fear, in just a few seconds. And so because the mind can only focus on one object at a time, the object of mind is now the breath. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. And so, just breathing in and out mindfully like this can set us free. The Buddha taught this. We have freedom. And when we're faced with an important decision, we make much better decisions when we're free. And so rather than being under the influence of anger or fear. So that's why we cultivate this practice of coming back to the breath over and over again. So it becomes very familiar. In verse 2, then, it's breathing in a long breath or a short breath. I know whether it's a long or a short breath. Breathing out a long or a short breath, I know whether it's a long or a short breath. And so long and short means to be aware of the whole length of the breath, the in and out. We don't need to control it. And the second exercise is to follow the breath all the way through and to follow our out breath all the way through. And so these exercises can be very enjoyable and we can do them anywhere, anytime. So to breathe is to be alive. And you can feel so alive when we can come back to our awareness of breath, of following breath. And so something happened last week that really surprised me. And my body became sick with this really uncomfortable virus. And one of the symptoms was this extreme fatigue. And so after I resisted and tried to go into denial, I finally just let go and I listened to my body and I rested. And with all my projects and plans on hold, I had a lot of time to really practice with these first two exercises for prolonged periods. And so many things became clear to me about this simple and potent way of breathing in awareness and concentration. Ty wasn't kidding when he said the effect of these exercises is enormous. And so one morning last week during my sitting meditation, as I followed my attention to the awareness of my in and out breath, the first contemplation before eating came into my consciousness. And you may or may not be aware of that contemplation, but it goes like this. We say it before, there's five. This is the first one we say before eating. We say, this food is a gift of the earth, the sky, numerous living beings, and much hard and loving work. And I asked myself, what if I applied this contemplation to my breathing? And so I said, this breath is a gift of the earth, the sky, numerous living beings, and much hard and loving work. And I have observed and followed my in and out breath so many times thanks to our practice, yet I never thought of my breath in the way that this contemplation invoked. So contemplating this more deeply, I can truly see the entire formation of the cosmos, of our galaxy and solar system and our Earth, and all the formations of life, the oceans and land and atmosphere. And my breath is a direct link to this entire history. It's a direct manifestation and continuation of all of it, just like your breath. And my direct relationship with all the plants that provide the oxygen that so many earthlings rely on, and the interbeing with the plants who need the carbon dioxide that our lungs release for their own survival, that adds an entire dimension to the awareness of my in and out breath. And so through this month of study and practice, I've become so curious about breath, and not only my breath, but also the breath of many beings. So I'm just going to share with you a few interesting facts. So a human in general, an adult human at rest, breathes between 12 and 20 breaths per minute. Now, a whale breathes between 2 and 6 breaths per minute. They take these very deep, long breaths, and when they're at the surface of the ocean, and then they can dive from 30 to 90 minutes without breathing. A horse is very similar to humans, between 8 and 16 breaths a minute. A turtle, depending on the temperature, can breathe between 4 and 18 times per minute. And a hummingbird, 250 times a minute. So many different rhythms of breath. And so, how wonderful to be a breather among breathers. And I also realized that it's not just land, water, and airborne creatures that breathe. The trees, the forests, the grasslands, and the oceans exchange enormous amounts of oxygen and carbon dioxide daily, like a giant inhaling and exhaling. And so when I breathe in and out, I'm participating in a miracle of this precious planet. When I can stop and bring my awareness to this in-breath and this out-breath, I can touch a miracle. I can savor being a participant in this global respiration. I can also enjoy that my lungs are in good enough condition to breathe still. So an average human can survive without food for 2 to 3 months, and for 3 to 5 days without water, but only 3 or 4 minutes without breathing. So our breath is so crucial and so precious. And I know I take my breath for granted. So we have the support of our multifold Sangha, of our blood and spiritual and land ancestors, of thousands of years of daily diligent practice in our lineage. And we train ourselves so that we can come back to this place of present awareness anytime. And we strengthen our capacity to do this in the easy times, so that when the difficult times come, we can easily access our mindful breathing, calm down, let go, become free. So I have a fairly recent, another example for you. And I was at the dentist's office in the dentist chair waiting for the Novocaine to kick in before I had a procedure. And as I waited, I had this awful feeling that my tongue started swelling up. And so I suddenly felt terrified that I was going to choke. And so I got the attention of the dentist, who reassured me, no, this is just a sensation that happens sometimes with Novocaine. I looked in the mirror, my tongue wasn't swollen, but it felt swollen. So my nervous system had already become so activated and the alarms were going off, but I needed this procedure. So I remembered that I know how to become aware of and follow my breath to calm my mind and body and to release my anxieties. So throughout the dental procedure, I followed my breath with such great concentration. I came through it and I just felt this surge of confidence in this simple and effective practice. So we're invited to remember to bring our awareness to our breath many times throughout the day. We don't have to wait till we're in the dentist's chair. We can practice this way when we wake up, when we take our first step, or walk, work, or cook, drive, go about our daily tasks. And we were invited to download the mindfulness bell on the Plum Village app. So that's a great way to have the bell going off at different intervals to train us to come back to our breath throughout the day. So everyone has a seed of mindfulness in them, in us. And if we practice diligently, the seed will grow. Every time that we need that mindfulness, we can just touch it with our awareness of breathing. In the dining halls at the Plum Village monasteries, the clock chimes every 15 minutes. And when the chimes sound, we're invited to stop what we're doing and come back to our mindful awareness of breath. So we train and we practice, we apply, we heal, we grow, we wake up. And so this Anapanasati Sutra is the first of the Buddha's teachings. And we're invited to learn and apply and test these teachings for ourselves to know if they work. My experience is that when I practice, even if imperfectly, which is so often, I notice results in my mind, in my body, and also in my family, in my community, and beyond. And I wonder what your experience is with these first two exercises of mindful breathing. And maybe that can be a topic for this evening's, one of the topics for this evening's Dharma sharing. So with that, I thank you so much for your beautiful presence and practice, and may we continue breathing together